Welcome to the Paddle and Portage podcast.
I got a question for you, LB.
What's that, Freddie?
Why do you go to the Boundary Waters?
Oh gosh, the reason varies depending on the trip or what's happening in life. Sometimes it's really to disconnect from the madness of life. That's always part of it. But other times it's because I really need an adventure and I need to go explore a place or a part of the woods I've never been to before. And that's a different reason, but all of it is around, I think, getting away from the craziness of the world.
And you have said on the podcast multiple times, when you go to the Boundary Waters, then you are in the real world.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, the real world.
So you go to get into the real world.
Thank you for reminding me of my words, and that, resonates. Real deep. Yeah, real deep.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get real deep today on this episode of the podcast, and we're going to hear a story that somebody was courageous enough to share with us, a person who lives here in Cook County, Minnesota, which is where Grand Marais is located. And this individual who we'll be hearing from on the episode was a victim of a horrific crime a few years ago, and that also took place here in Cook County. And after that incident took place, she has been looking to get outdoors more, and that she's struggled with that actually too. Doesn't have the necessary equipment. We are fortunate, LB. We've got a fleet of canoes in the yard, and we've got fishing rods and paddles and life jackets aplenty and all that kind of stuff. And not everybody does, and including this individual we'll be hearing from, whose name is Martha. Though on the episode today, another friend of Paddle and Portage in the podcast, a fishing guide up the Gunflint Trail named Chad, stepped up and was able to take Martha and I out fishing this summer in the Boundary Waters. And so with that in mind, let's head into the wilderness. Probably because you and Jay were talking the whole time.
You always have something to say, Joe.
Joe, what do you want? You want...
That's my job, Martha. Whatever you hand me, Chad, I'll...
Hi, I'm Martha Finley, and I live in Grand Marais.
Will you say it again, without sounding shy and timid and nervous?
What do you want me to yell in the microphone?
No, just talk like how you're
That
talking
is how I
normally.
talk. Have you not listened to our podcast?
I have, and here's the difference. Hi, I'm Martha Finley.
That is not the difference. I literally just talked.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Martha Finley, and I live in Grand Marais.
Perfect. What do you remember most about being out on the water, or just that day with Chad?
I would love to say it was the water trail, but it was the moose.
Yeah.
I would say that it was the moose, but just being up there. I love being up the trail. So far away from town and the noise of everything. But the moose it takes number one for sure. I'm sorry.
Well, the fishing wasn't bad. I mean, I caught 9 fish compared to... How many did you catch?
My one big one. Yeah, let's clarify that some of your 9 were very small.
Yeah. But so to me also what stands out is the amount of wildlife we saw on that given day was crazy.
It was anything we could have seen, we saw, which was wild. It was wild. I wasn't expecting that.
I don't think Chad was either.
No.
We saw a fox.
Yeah.
A wolf.
Yep.
Moose. Bald eagle ripping
with
apart
babies.
A fish and feeding it to the babies. Not
two
just,
babies. 2 babies too. It wasn't just one.
There's definitely 3 critters in there. Oh, it's chattering a little bit. Oh, it's got something. It's feeding them something.
Oh, yeah,
that adult's shredding something. It's definitely feeding that baby, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That nest has got to look disgusting by now.
Oh gosh. Like a giant gut bucket. Bunch of fish parts. Awesome. Well, go find a walleye?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
I just thought we'd see the nest. I'm pretty tickled that we saw eagles.
Yeah, that is so cool.
It's feeding them.
It's feeding them. It's definitely ripping something out.
Yeah,
and then
it is.
To the bigger of the chicks, and then the smaller one, generally they...
I wonder if they start later.
And loons with baby loons.
Yes.
And that all came after you were like, there are no birds in the Boundary Waters, which made it all the more.
Yeah. This trip really just nixed that theory in the butt for sure, because we saw a lot of birds and I heard a lot of birds.
Yeah. How was the time fishing though? Like having Chad, this like professional guide, and just like his boat and the equipment, because we couldn't do that in a canoe. What we did, Sag is too big of a lake, and we needed to cover ground. I mean, it was really, or just what was your take about having Chad and his sort of expertise and gear and all that?
I am always down for a Northwoods experience that I don't have to plan or like do anything for. He pretty much did everything, and I loved that. And I learned a lot of new stuff about fishing that I didn't know, like jigging and all these other cool terms. But yeah, I thought it was great. Like I said, I love not having to plan, or like I got to just shut my brain off and be there, which was great.
Hey, Paddle and Portage listeners, this is Kate from Bending Branches. If you're like us, paddling isn't just something you do, it's part of who you are. And when you're out on the water, your paddle isn't just a tool, it's your connection to the adventure. At Bending Branches, we take that seriously. For over 40 years, we've been handcrafting canoe and kayak paddles right here in northwestern Wisconsin. We obsess over every detail, making them lighter, stronger, and built to last, because we know what it's like to be deep in the wilderness, where every ounce of weight matters and every stroke counts. We test our paddles the best way we know how, by using them on winding rivers, glassy lakes, and carrying them on backcountry portages. Crafted with tradition, engineered for adventure, designed by paddlers for paddlers. So, before your next trip, stop by your local paddle shop or outfitter and find the Bending Branches paddle that's right for you. Because great adventures start with great gear, and the right paddle makes all the difference.
I'm Jason with Ely Outfitting Company in downtown Ely, Minnesota. As the stories by Joe M. and the Paddle and Portage team inspire you to explore the Boundary Waters, let our trail-savvy crew make your trip planning simple. If you haven't tried our free online trip routing service, complete with awesome interactive maps, check out elyoutfittingcompany.com. And when you're ready, find complete outfitting services, lightweight canoe rentals, and comfy bunkhouse lodging at Ely Outfitting Company.
You and I have been talking for a few years now about getting outside more, and specifically like in the Boundary Waters, and fishing's usually been a part of that discussion, but just getting outside. And what do you think about being outdoors? Is it that is good for us as people?
I think it goes back to the being able to just shut your brain off. You just get to relax and almost just forget about everything, which is great. It's so great. Like, that day was just wonderful.
There are some things that happened to you that led up to that conversation about wanting to get outside, or me hoping that you'd come with me to get outside a little more often. And whatever you're comfortable sharing about what happened in the timeline, the floor is yours.
Oh God. I will apologize if I cry. It's been a while since I have actually talked about the whole thing. In 2020, I was out celebrating my 25th birthday with my best friend, and I ended up getting sexually assaulted that night. And I reported it right away the next day. And that kind of started the whole process. And what a process it was. I honestly don't even remember when the trial actually happened, like the year, because it dragged on for so long. But yeah, I went through the whole court system process and testified, which was very, very difficult and very hard to then spill all of those like in details, not just the surface level stuff, in front of a lot of strangers and my mom too. That was hard. But they found him guilty, which I can't even explain how, like, that feeling of feeling listened to and believed and like that I mattered. It was great. And he was sentenced to 4 years in prison. He is now out as of last August. But yeah, it was a really long process, and it was really, really hard. And I would love to say that I'm stronger for it, because in a lot of ways that I am, but I believe I've said this before. I hate that I had to be stronger.
Mm-hmm. And this happened here in Cook County, and like in the place where you live, and has that tainted or changed the way you think about our town?
Not the town, maybe certain places. Like, it happened at Caribou Highlands, so it was really hard for me to be over there for a while, and just in the Lutsen area. And yeah, some places definitely hold baggage and like the grief of what happened. Like the courtroom, I recently found out when I had jury duty, I had gotten selected, and I didn't realize it right away, but I was sitting in the exact same pew that I got the verdict in. And leaving the courthouse, it like all came flooding back last week. Just, you know, you think you're over it, and then you walk into a space like that, and it all comes flooding back. But it gets easier. I would say my birthday still is really hard, especially up here. I do try to leave unsuccessfully the past few years, but yeah, it does get hard. And because it's a small town, everybody knows, you know, it's not a secret thing, which I never really made it one. I was always very open about my experience, because not many people are, but that was always really hard in the beginning, like seeing the nurse who was there at the hospital that day, or the deputy that took my statement, or, as much as I love them, like the VPC staff, they helped me a lot, but seeing them, you know, or some of the courthouse staff, you know, even the ones who helped, it just, there's always that level of trauma that always surrounds certain things and people.
Mm-hmm. Why did you want to talk about it openly, as you're saying that you did?
Because a lot of people don't, and it always feels like you're not supposed to talk about it. And I just feel like no matter your trauma, you should be able to talk about it openly, and it is healing to talk about it. And I found through being really open about what happened that other people felt comfortable sharing experiences, or just being like, you know, I've never told anybody this, but I've also been through that. So yeah, it just, you know, there's a whole stigma with sexual assault and stuff. And so it just felt not right. I don't know what the word is. It just felt good to be open and honest about my experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when we talk about the boundary waters, is that why do you think that the Boundary Waters is a place that has been calling to you, or a place that you've been wanting to go to and do stuff in? Like, what about that place in particular?
I think this is always just funny to me. I had always heard about the Boundary Waters growing up, but in my head it was not something that was close to me that I could do. It wasn't like tangible for me. So being as close as I am now and knowing about it more, I just love taking any opportunity to explore more up there. And I've only been in the Boundary Waters maybe 3 or 4 times, but every time I come back, I just feel better, feel less stress. It's healing. It's healing for sure.
And what's interesting is that some people are afraid to go to the Boundary Waters, either because they think they don't have the right skill set, or they just wouldn't know how to do it, or whatever. But oftentimes, if people are willing to get out there, it's a very common theme. Mm-hmm. Is that like, yeah, I feel like I hit a reset button on a lot of stuff, and that there's something out there that's just pretty magical, really.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I mean, I get labeled as this like fisherman, like Joe's going there to fish.
Yeah.
But we went fishing. Our day was like, we're going fishing. Mm-hmm. But it was so much more than that.
Yeah, I could have just been in the boat and just sat there the whole time, and I would have enjoyed that too. Fishing did not even need to be a thing. I was just happy to be there.
Exactly. And that is like the difference for me with the Boundary Waters than like fishing on like Lake Minnetonka or somewhere near Duluth, or even like Lake Superior in a boat, is that there's something out there that's different than fishing other places.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm always like, yeah, I'm going fishing, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Chad, keeper, talking to you from the end of the Gunflint Trail. Just got off from a day of fishing with Joe and Martha.
So, how was the day out there, particularly with Martha?
It was fantastic. Started strong. The trout were on fire for about a half hour and then kind of quieted down. She got the first fish of the day. Beauty. Biggest fish of the day, and a nice fish. So, yeah, it started out pretty good. We had fun. What else did we do? We saw loons, baby loons, eaglets, and a moose right at the end. Yeah. Pretty good day.
I shared with you a little bit about, what the day was, and the desire to spend a little more time outdoors for Martha. She's just looking for ways to engage with the community and in this place where we live, and as part of that healing of her trauma that she experienced. So just the idea of being able to get outdoors, like how does that fit into the day?
Well, I mean, it's the healing power of nature, and you can tell when someone's engaged with it. They usually sit quietly and just watch everything go by, and that's what she did. She was engaged with the fishing part, but a lot of times you could just tell she just sat, soaked it all in, right? And that's where the healing comes, just to be quiet in nature, and she seemed to enjoy that.
Yeah. One thing that I observed and appreciated, quite frankly, Chad, was that you weren't catering or pampering to like, oh, now Martha, are you okay? Or Martha, is this comfortable for you here? Or, can I get you anything? You were just treating us the same. It wasn't like you were sort of trying to overcompensate or something.
No, you guys knew what you were doing, so you didn't need much coaching. And the little coaching I did, she picked up right away and implemented in terms of like jigging or trolling, that kind of thing. So try not to overcoach today. I'm glad it worked out that way.
Yeah, and even beyond that though, like just because you and I touched base before we went out today, and I shared that I'd talked to Martha in the past, and that I've been involved in this process of helping to get her outside or being encouraging, sort of figure in that way, that you then didn't try to be like treating her like she's real fragile in that
see.
regard or something.
Yeah.
You know, you treat her just like you were talking to me, and then you I don't know if that was intentional or not, or how that
I think we
factored
just
in.
don't want to be treated like humans and just want some normality, right? And so yeah, just treat everybody the way that I want to be treated, I guess, and that's kind of what we did, I suppose. Yeah.
Have you ever had a guest who's had, you know, maybe military veteran PTSD, or somebody that's expressed to you they've had some hard times in life, and you are out in the boat with them?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting thing when you're out on a boat for 8 or 9 hours with someone, alone with them or another person in the boat. You become a little bit of a therapist, and they feel safe around you because they may never see you again, right? Mm-hmm. So they're out in an environment where they're having a good time, they're relaxed, and they have a tendency to open up a little bit and tell you stories. I haven't had any like real tragic stuff. I've just heard stories about, you know, Dad and I didn't get along real well, or, you know, Dad was kind of mean, or those sorts of things, and so to get out fishing with someone who isn't mean or something like that. But I haven't had any like real major, you know, stories that rock my world or anything like that. But people do open up and will share things that they may not share with other people, and it's kind of neat. You know, you respect that, and you kind of, you know, you don't want to take that for granted. What I'm trying to say is I don't want to break their trust, you know. But whatever they tell me, it's sort of like a priest. You just leave it in the boat kind of thing, and that sort of thing. So, but no, today was fun. I thought Martha did great, and hopefully she just had a good time. Mm-hmm.
And for the overall, or for you personally, when it comes to nature, mm-hmm. what do you think it is about that disconnect or perhaps even reconnect that is healing, or can offer some of that therapeutic value?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, without getting too deep into the weeds, I just feel, I mean, humans, we evolved to live outdoors, right? We developed outdoors, and it's our natural state to be outdoors and to survive it, to experience it, and that sort of thing. And we've gotten away from that, right? Case in point is myself. You know, I lived in the corporate world before I came here, where I was in an office, chained to a desk, or in an airplane or an airport, that kind of thing. You lose touch with the outdoors. So every time I'd vacation, it'd be coming to the outdoors to just recharge the batteries, rejuvenate, that kind of thing. And I think people fail to do that in their lives, to get out back into nature, because it's our natural environment. It's where we're supposed to be. And a lot of people have a fear about it. They don't want to come out into the wilderness because they've never experienced it. There's some mystique around it and that kind of thing. So anytime we can help people get over that fear and feel comfortable in the outdoors, I think it's a pretty cool thing to share. Yeah.
I feel like, you know, the Boundary Waters doesn't always have to be like this million paddled lakes and tons of portages. You can just do a day trip, go in and go fishing, or like when we did Johnson Falls, like it can be this short thing, and it doesn't, I feel like it scares a lot of people away, thinking you have to do all these big crazy portages and stuff, when you really don't have to. It can just be a small thing, and that small thing, even just that, is enough.
Yeah, you have been out to Johnson Falls through Clearwater.
Yep.
And you've been in the Sawbill area,
yep.
Done some overnight stuff. Now you've been on Sag. And
yep, I'm just checking off my list. One lake at a time.
Yeah, that's cool. And we're pretty fortunate that we do live here and get to do those day trips.
Yep.
And that this has been a place for you to go and sort of hit that reset or clear your mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning to do some more of this type of stuff?
Yes, I would hope to try to get at least 1 or 2 more day trips in this summer, but we'll see. I'm waiting for Jay to get here. We'll try to plan something while she's here for sure.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And because like you have shared some of your story, Martha, including like in a public interview that you and I did at the radio station
mm-hmm.
and so forth, like Chad, the guide,
yeah,
knew about your situation. I obviously knew about it. But what was your experience in terms of us that day? did it feel like we were like trying to like overcompensate or be like, hey Martha, are you like,
no, not at all. I don't feel like I was treated differently or special or anything, besides the fact that I didn't know how to do anything. No, I didn't feel like you guys were being weird or like being like, yeah, no, it felt fine. No, did not feel weird at all.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to Chad's character pretty highly, because I didn't get that sense from him at all either,
yeah.
that he was like tiptoeing around or just trying to be really extra, because I've been fishing with him before and he was literally the exact same as when we were out, which I thought was a good notch, or a good move. Absolutely. And for other people who might be struggling or going through, maybe it's that they've had a similar experience to yours, or just going through hard times in life for whatever reason, what would you say to them about getting out to the Boundary Waters, if they're thinking about it or if you're recommending it?
Oh, don't hesitate. There are tons of resources up here if you don't know where to start, but do not hesitate. Take the opportunity always. Good Lord.
Thanks for doing this, Martha.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for having me. Let me know when you want to take me fishing again.
I will. Fall. I mean, now we didn't really get a lot when we were ice fishing, just because it didn't.
I didn't get anything.
I mean, not even.
Special thanks to Martha and to Chad for making this whole experience happen. And real special thanks again to Martha for opening herself up to something that is a lot of unknowns to it, but for reasons that only she can articulate are important.
I think it's really important for us at Paddle and Portage, and you and I as people who go in there so often and take it for granted, that not everybody has the skill level, like that comfort that we feel going up there is just so natural and easy for us. But that actually is an obstacle for some of the people who maybe want to go, people like Martha. And it's really where a lot of our sponsors, like the outfitters and even organizations like Save the Boundary Waters and the Friends, who are really trying to get people to go and like, check this place out, and we can help make that easier for you. So if you're feeling some of that hesitation to get out in the wilderness or go fishing or whatever it is you might be sort of reluctant to do because you're unfamiliar with it, hopefully Martha's story really would show and illustrate to you that it's great. It's welcoming for all, and it's good to pair up with somebody maybe to take that first step, somebody like Chad. But yeah, like you said, just major thanks to Martha for sharing her story with us today and for getting out there and welcoming us on the journey.
And thank you to you, our listeners, for once again coming along with us. Don't forget, this podcast only happens because you listen. And those of you who support Paddle and Portage by subscribing on the Paddle and Portage website, you fund the work we do, and we thank you for that. If you haven't gone over to check out paddleandportage.com, check it out and subscribe, and know that you're getting all that great content on the web, but you're also supporting the work that we do here on this podcast. We're grateful for it.